Every school deserves a food forest, because if you have a food forest in a school, you can have like fruit throughout the entire growing season. You have like special types of berries in the spring, you have cherries, you have raspberries, like early varieties to late varieties. It's just, nature is just such a big giver.
Louis De Jaeger is a renowned landscape architect, food forest designer, and the award-winning filmmaker of Eat More Trees. From creating Belgian biodiversity heavens to restoring Argentinian private islands, he is reimagining our future with wild edible plants and making us fall in love with nature.
In Brazil, there is a Formula 1 driver who said the Amazon is a 12,000-year-old food forest. People have planted parts of it. But if we want to plant more food trees, we have to eat more food from trees. Yeah. And that's in the Amazon true, but it's also the same in Belgium or in UK or in a lot of other countries, definitely the USA.
You know, I was already in love with trees before you came here, but now it's like a Valentine's Day. Louis, it's so good to see you here today. I'm so happy that you came and we can have a deep conversation in front of the cameras.
Yes, I'm very glad to. It's a pity we only have them when there are cameras on us.
That's true, but I'm happy that we are here. You brought something special today. Can you show me and tell us all about it?
Yeah, it's something very cool. It's a chestnut from a tree that's 4,000 years old. So
4,000. Where is it?
it's on the Etna volcano in Sicily, Italy. And I was actually, as a young guy, 18 years old, I wanted to become a farmer. And I did an internship in a farm, and it was so hard work. And I harvested like leeks at -2 degrees Celsius.
Oh, wow.
And I was freezing. And when the leeks were gone, then the earth was barren. It was empty, and we had to like replant them again to have them again next year. And when I was sitting in front of the stove, like heating myself afterwards, reading a book, I read about this chestnut tree on the Etna volcano that's 4,000 years old. I was like, okay, but if I'm gonna become a farmer, I'm not gonna plant leek and harvest it like every year again and plant it and like freeze to death. I'm just gonna plant a chestnut tree, sit under it, and 4,000 years in a row, there will be like chestnuts falling on my lap. Like
Smart.
so much more lazier that I could be. So I was like, yeah, but why don't we like have our entire agriculture based on chestnuts or other nuts or on trees? You just have to plant them and they'll give food for maybe not 4,000 years, maybe just 50 years or 100 years, but it's still better. And it has so many other benefits for the climate, for the biodiversity, for the farmers. So that's when I got hooked.
I think it's a very cool thought to have at 18 years old. Winding back a little bit, what made you want to be a farmer? How did you come to that realization at such a young age? Because what we see is that a farming generation is getting older, not a lot of young people come in. Why did you want to be one?
So why did I want to become a farmer? I actually was into healthy food because of my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And she inspired me about healthy food, and I learned so much about it. And I learned about the overuse of pesticides, of other things that is really slowly killing us all. And one of the biggest reasons I wanted to become a farmer was like, I want to show that it's possible to farm without pesticides on the one hand. But on the other hand, when you're 18, you're still pretty naive, or I at least was. I don't know about you.
I totally was as well.
Curious to hear your story as well. And I wanted to be free. That was like my goal, to be free. Still want to be free, and I'm pretty free, I think, my imagination. I thought, well, people go to work to earn money, and with that money, they buy food. I was like, but if I grow my own food, I don't have to work. I like just bypass the work thing because I'll have food. Then I don't have to work because I don't have money because I have food. So that was like the idea behind it. And I saw beautiful projects all across the world. I traveled a lot, and I saw it's possible. I saw people living in harmony with the planet and with the earth, and was like, wow, fantastic. I want to do that.
You say you were naive at 18,
Yeah.
but I mean, not everybody thinks at 18 about, health and pesticides and things like this. Also, kudos to your girlfriend, by the way, who's your wife now. I think that's incredibly smart to think of that at that age. I first discovered the use of pesticides when I was writing my bachelor thesis in university, and I was looking, well, what should be my profession? Where should I look into? And all of a sudden, I stumbled across a couple of articles about agriculture in the US and pesticides and how those pesticides create super weeds that afterwards are very difficult to get rid of. And that was kind of my first clue and introduction into soils. Afterwards, my career took me a completely different direction with MasterCard and Tech, but funnily enough, I came back to soils.
Good.
And good, I'm happy about that too. But it was a big shock for me back then to see that we are losing so much land just because of the way we practice. So I wonder now, you wanted to have a piece of land to be free
Yeah.
and to have food. How is that going for you now?
Well, I'm free and I don't have land. So I found out that freedom, of course, it's something you create in your own mind and the life you create. So I found another way to create it. And then one of the reasons I wanted to become a farmer was to prove myself and to prove to the world, look, it's possible without pesticides. But then I came back to Belgium. I traveled across the world for a while, did a big sabbatical. And then I wanted to buy some land in Belgium, and it's 100,000 euros a hectare. So if I wanted 10 hectares, I needed 1 million euros. I didn't have that money. My parents didn't have that money. There was no land in the family. So no bank was willing to loan like a 20-year-old guy 1 million euros, because if you would, for example, grow grain, you'll never earn 1 million euros in 20 years. So it's impossible to become a farmer. And then I realized that there are so many great farmers showing the right examples, showing that it is possible to grow regeneratively without pesticides, little soil tillage. And then I was like, yeah, but why start like another farm and be like the 35th in the row if the 34 other farmers just need a bigger podium? And then I started writing a book about the future of farming, because I was very confused on how it's possible that we like spray poison on our food. I couldn't understand it, why we were like kind of doing it. So
There's a logical question, right? Yeah, we continue doing it.
yeah, and we're still doing it today. And then I said, well, okay, well, by writing this book, I put a lot of fantastic farmers in the picture, and then I just decided, well, I'm gonna promote good farmers, and I also gonna help other people set up their farms. So I started a landscape architecture firm, followed a bit in my father's footsteps, who is a normal architect. He kind of hates nature, but loves buildings. So I differentiated myself a bit from him. I still like follow the architect path, but I love nature. So he doesn't really hate nature. He just likes buildings super much. So started an architecture firm on soil regeneration and farmscapes, edible landscapes that heal the climate. And right now we design like small gardens to entire private islands, from Belgium to Argentina to Spain,
Wow.
all across the world. And I actually have a lot of farms right now, and I don't have to pay for the lands. And they pay us to develop it. So it's actually the best of both worlds.
Oh, I love it.
We help them, and at some point I'm also like, realizing my dream in another way. So it's a win-win situation.
Nice.
Yeah.
So about those farmers that you've met when you started writing a book, can you share a bit of interesting examples of what they were doing? What are the practices that really inspired you?
Yeah. One of my favorite farmers is a guy called Ian Tolhurst, or Tolly, and he only went to school until 15 years old. He hitchhiked around the country and always found his own path. And he found like very degraded land near the Thames river that also goes through London. And he started farming there, and he wanted to find manure to like fertilize the land, because that's what people tell you. You need to fertilize the land to grow food.
Yeah.
But he wanted to grow it organically. So the only manure he found was from a horse stable. And they were giving a lot of antibiotics to horses. And of course, antibiotics goes in the poo. a lot of antibiotics get into our fields. People don't know it. A lot of resistant bacteria that fight that resistance also get into our foods. So we get resistant against antibiotics. Like a lot of people die every year because of the manure of animals that went on the fields made us resistant to antibiotics, and we literally die with tens of thousands of people every year in Europe because we got resistant against these antibiotics, and it's because this animal manure.
Yeah.
So everything has a connection, and if you do A, B happens and people die.
So instead of food being a cure, the way we are producing food is harming our health immensely.
Immensely, yeah. Like almost all the food you eat is like slowly killing you. Some food faster than the other food.
It's horrific.
It's horrific, and that's why I'm trying to do something about it.
Go, Louis.
And so Ian Tolhurst, he said, yeah, but I'm not going to put that on my field. It's full of antibiotics. I'm grateful he didn't. So then he said, yeah, but how am I going to fertilize the land? And there is what something very interesting happens. I don't know if you know it, but the earth has enough nutrients in the soil to provide for agriculture for thousands, 100,000 of years. Every soil on this planet has all these nutrients. Before, the soil didn't exist. The earth was just one big rock, and then little by little mosses came, they colonized it, then the mosses died. But when the mosses died, together with fungi that the mosses was collaborating with, they already grinded up a little bit of the stones, of the rocks, and then they created a mix of the death moss and the mix of the soil, and that became, the mix of the rock, and it became like a mix of organic and mineral matter. And that became the first soil. So first it started with like a few millimeters, and then bigger plants were able to colonize it. They died. Animals were eating it. They died too. And then everybody kept on dying until enough soil was formed. And that's why we have soil. So that process is something very natural. You can create fertility out of nowhere, I would say, but it's not nowhere. It's just out of the rocks.
Yeah.
So that's what Ian Tolhurst did. He planted a very wide variety of green manure, it's how you call it, like a lot of crazy plants all together, and that get the fertility from the earth, and then you chop it, for example, and then it brings fertility to the land. So he actually grows his own fertility.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and so that's with the plants. And he also does it with wood chips. He found out that wood chips is the best. He doesn't call it fertilizer. He calls it inoculant. He uses like only a couple of millimeters of it every so many years to inoculate the soil, to make sure that the earthworms, the bacteria, the fungi, and all the little creatures crawling around, there is more life in 1 teaspoon of soil life than there are people on the planet.
So in a healthy one, right?
In a healthy one, yeah. And this way he grew his own fertility, and professors from all across the world, they go and look to his field, and it's like, oh my God, how did you do it? And he says, yeah, I'm actually a biodiversity builder, and food is my byproduct. So
that's so cool.
For fertility. And the other side of it is pesticides. He used 0 pesticides, and he has 0 pests. Why? Because the foundation is good. If you have a good soil, you don't need pesticides. And he of course also has these biodiversity corridors.
Yeah.
He built nests, like natural places where the natural predators live of pests that might come. But he also grows the pest year round.
What do you mean he grows the pest?
So most farmers, they kill pests.
Yeah.
He says, no, I'm going to keep on growing the pest year round. Why? Why do you think?
To build soil. I don't know.
To actually make sure that the predator has food all year round.
Okay.
And also because pests are a good indicator that there's something wrong with the soil. He sees it, oh my God, I have a pest. I did something wrong as a farmer. Normally, in conventional agriculture, it's like, oh my God, there's a pest. How the fuck are we gonna kill the pest?
Yeah.
So, so that's a very inspiring story. But there are a lot of them out there.
It's such an unconventional way to view things, because most of the time when we do things, we try to, let's put it bluntly, kill off nature, right? So we are killing off nature to grow food, we are killing off nature to build our cities, but this is the other way around. This is working with nature, capitalizing on nature's strengths and just going along with the flow, learning from the nature and really kind of accommodating and giving it space. You made me feel very good about the wood chips because I put them in my garden and I noticed the amount of life that is going in between them. It's completely different from a place where, for example, there is just bare land or just a few leaves. I notice that every time, like I look in between them, there somebody's crawling, somebody's flying. Like it's. Now I know I'm on the right pathway.
It's a fantastic tool, wood chips. It's just great, and if you like use wood from very tiny branches, it's even better. You only need half of it than like the bigger ones. So you can easily in your garden, or if you're a farmer on your field, grow trees, for example, where you pollard it or coppice it, and just like every couple of years you like just remove the branches, you chop it, put it on a field, then it resprouts. So it's a very interesting and nice thing you can do.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you for the advice to all the gardeners out there.
Do it.
That's good.
Grow your own fertility.
Yes, grow your own fertility. You know why this concept is also absolutely inspiring to me? Because we have about 30 harvests left that we are killing off our soil. So the way we do agriculture, that biodiversity in the soil is declining, yields are declining, and we're kind of losing 1 million hectares of soil every year. But that gives me hope, because that means we can grow the soil back, that we can turn things around if we look at the whole process differently. And that's amazing. You mentioned once somewhere that you can survive pretty much out in the wild because you know which plants or trees to eat. Can you share a bit more about maybe the most fascinating ones that are all around us? We don't know that they could be used for food, because I think the topic that is also very underestimated is the diversity of the food that we eat. We have very little variety in what we consume, and if we knew how to consume more, then we probably would be healthier as well.
Yeah, definitely. So our ancestors, they were like more than 12,000 years ago, they were hunter-gatherers. And they were super healthy. They were much healthier than when we became sedentary and we started to build villages and started to farm. It's actually one of the most stupid things they did in the past to become a farmer. On one hand. On the other hand, it also brought a lot of positive things. But when they became a farmer, they only started to grow one crop or a couple of crops. But when they were hunter-gatherers, they were eating like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 different kind of things every day. They were much healthier and they didn't have to work as much because they were just like eating a lot of stuff, just picking it and eating it. Because if you're farming, it's a lot of work. And they did some archaeological research and they saw that the bone structures were horrible for the farmers. And the bone structure of the hunter-gatherers were fantastic. They like the farmers, they had to like walk like this. They had to bend their back. They also got a lot of disease of living together with the animals because they contained the animals in closed spaces and sometimes even lived close to them, and it generated a lot of disease. But if you live just like hunt an animal you need, and everybody's much healthier. So we can embrace this hunter-gatherer that's still somewhere inside of us. To go back to that kind of living as in a utopia. We now have cities and we're with way too much people to organize this. Maybe it is possible, but I personally also like to just go to a good restaurant and order food. But like you say, I know how to survive in the wild. I would not like to do it, but because I really like good food. But there are some very interesting plants that everybody know. One of the ones I like the most, and most people already know it's edible, is stinging nettle. Urtica in Latin. And I was shocked. I was giving a tour in the Royal Palace of Belgium. So our king and queen, they have a
a heart for nature and social inclusion, and they want
Right.
to open up the palace doors for children to have a guided. Of course, everything needs to be guided and very much organized because it's still royal. And so a lot of these school children of Brussels, they don't have any eco-literacy. So they were children that never even heard of a nettle. They
Yeah.
didn't know a nettle. And I grew up with the garden, and I was really shocked. But at the same time, also very charmed by the interested in it. And so we were like with kids 10 to 12 years old, walking around. This is a nettle. Oh, what does it do? It stings. Okay, who dares to let themselves sting? And so then the school teacher first did it.
Yeah.
It hurts. Then like a couple of brave children also did it, and it was so cool to see the bravery. And then also we ate it raw because you can. Most of people know you can make soup out of it, but you can also eat it raw. You can like roll it up, a bit like you would roll a cigarette and then apply it into two, and then there's like a special technique not to get stung while eating it raw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's super healthy. It tastes a bit like beans. And
Any aged or young nettle or any nettle you find?
generally, the younger the better.
Okay.
Because when the plant gets older, it gets a bit more bitter and more harder, more lignin, more woody. But the nice thing about nettles is that you can grow more proteins per hectare with nettles than with soy. And that blows my mind, because we based all our a lot of protein, vegetable proteins on soy.
Yeah.
And soy, if you can grow soy in a regenerative way, but often it's not grown regeneratively. But nettles are super good for the environment for so many reasons. They're good for attracting insects. They also are good for the soil. And it's just crazy how much you can do with nettles. You can they grow as weeds in your garden. A lot of people get angry at them, but you can make so many things about them. You can even make tofu out of nettles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can like put it in a blender,
Yeah.
blend it, then put like with tofu you have to add a coagulant, so the protein like separate from the liquid,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have to put it through a cheesecloth, and then you have like tofu.
Ooh, now I want to try it. Why aren't we eating nettles then? If they're so healthy, if they just grow like this, if they're good for the environment, they have more proteins than soy, why do we grow soy instead of...
Very good question. Why do we spray pesticide or poison on our foods? Why do we not eat more leaves? Like, if you look at the monkeys, what do you see them do? They're eating leaves all the time.
Yeah.
You know that the most nutrition is to be found in tree leaves. Also for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for example, one of my favorite trees is the mulberry tree. One of the safest leaves you can eat anytime.
Oh, you can eat it? I
You
have
can
it in my garden. I had no idea.
Try it. Yeah.
Okay.
Make
Just like this,
Yeah,
fresh.
make sure it's a mulberry, because you can also like think it's a mulberry and then you're like. But even that, and again with the school children in the Royal Palace, I also let them taste something poisonous, not deadly, but just and like teach them like also find your instinct.
Yeah.
Like just like smell it.
Yeah.
Like put a little bit in your mouth, on your tongue, and you immediately taste when something is poisonous. Not with everything, and I really explain them a lot that be very careful. Only do it with professionals, because you can die if you eat the wrong things. But again, if you like with leaves, it's not as deadly. Except the yew leaves, for example. But
Which leaves?
yew,
Yew.
taxus.
Okay.
It's with the red berries.
Yes.
The red berries are delicious, but if you eat 3 pits, you die.
Okay.
So, you have to also be a bit careful.
Yeah, I think it's not, we do not recommend venturing around, right, on your own without any guidance. Do it with Louis. Don't do it alone.
Well, we don't have to make people scared, because people have been doing it for millennia. But just like inform yourself. And start with ones you know. Like a nettle, it's hard to miss a nettle. But so you have mulberry trees, and also the leaves have more proteins per hectare than soy, and it's a perennial, so it lives longer. It makes roots if there's a drought.
It has berries as well, right? That you can eat.
Delicious berries.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much benefits.
Um, there's something important that you mentioned is that now the kids grow up and they don't really know about where the food is coming from.
Yeah.
I realized I was lucky on that sense because when I was 3 years old, my parents bought a small piece of land in the Arctic, and
Nice.
they started growing berries and vegetables. Now I realize they mainly grew it in a more conventional way. So yeah, there was manure. So yeah, there was only carrots on one place and only potatoes on the other. There was no really a mix of things. But at least, I knew kohlrabi. I knew how berries grow. I had like a super tiny piece of land on that one as well. My friend did too, and we did a competition who grows, bigger radishes, for example. And the land of her grandparents was on the south side with a better land. Ours was mainly clay and on the northern side. So hers were like at some point like this big. Oh, that was enormous. And we did flowers and we kind of learned.
Nice.
My parents mainly gave me tasks of cleaning the lines in between from weeds. That was my least favorite thing to do. But I realized I knew how food grows, like how fast it can grow, what you need to do more or less, that you have perennials, that you have annuals. And now sometimes I go to the shop to just buy a piece of kohlrabi, and a shop assistant sometimes doesn't know what it is. And they ask me, what is this? Where do I find it in the system?
The two.
And I think this is, it's not to say that they're stupid or anything, not at all. It's to show that the way now the kids grow, they don't know, they're out of touch with the land and they don't know how food grows.
That's a shame.
And I think we really need to change that system. I love that you have that project with the school to have a food forest at the school or something like that.
Yeah. We actually we are donating a food forest to a school, and we are like making a bit of noise and saying, well, every school deserves a food forest.
Yeah.
And it's not that expensive if you look at how expensive a lot of other things are. Because if you have a food forest in a school, you can have like food throughout the entire growing season. You have like special types of berries in the spring.
Yeah.
You have then cherries. You have raspberries, like early varieties to late varieties. It's just, nature is just such a big giver. It just gives us so much gifts. And if you just design it right, then you can go out any break during school and eat something. But even the same with your garden, every morning you wake up, you can just take a walk in your garden, grab some berries, put it in your granola or in your overnight oats, and you have like the most healthy breakfast you can imagine.
Except if it's not polluted, right?
Except if you have forever chemicals in your soil of other pollutants, then you're also killing yourself.
Maybe not everybody knows what a food forest is.
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
Yeah. So actually, a food forest, the first time I kind of heard about it was when I read about this beautiful chestnut here that comes from this 4,000-year-old tree.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, but be careful.
I will be. Look, it's magnificent.
Yeah. That's actually the entire philosophy behind a food forest, because most people don't realize that what we eat every day is based on annual plants. And annual means a plant that only lives 1 year.
Yeah.
And if you look at nature, plants that live 1 year, they only exist in places that have been disturbed by wild pigs or by an earthquake or by a volcanic eruption or some other disaster that happened. Then annuals quickly come to colonize the land, but little by little they are replaced by bigger plants, by birches, for example, that they take over the succession. And that's one of my favorite words, succession. Like I said before, it all starts with a rock, and little by little, bigger and bigger plants can grow. If you look at Chernobyl, for example, you see that the forest has taken over the city.
Yeah.
It's just, you see big trees in the streets, and it's fantastic to see that everything actually becomes a forest in temperate climates, not on every climate in the world, but
a lot of, as long as it's not too dry and too hot, or hot and dry, I mean, everything will become some sort of forest. So as long as we are eating our current diets, we're eating annuals, and we need to keep on disturbing the soil to keep it in that early succession stadium. And we have to keep on disturbing the land. And that's why in 2050, 90% of our soils will be degraded. And that's because we're just like keep on, having the most ideal place for weeds, because these are annuals too. And so we create the ideal place for weeds, and then we go out and kill those weeds. But it's we in the first place that created this situation, and also this annual. So a food forest is like the opposite of it. It's, look at nature. Everything becomes a forest. So why not be a little bit more lazy and get all our food from the forest? And of course, if we're just going to look at a normal forest, not a lot is edible. They have like a couple of edible leaves and a couple of edible plants, but you're not going to feed the world with it. So in the food forest, you're actually going to look at the forest ecology with all the different layers, with the giant trees, the medium trees, small trees, the climbers, the mushrooms, the perennial plants. You can even grow annuals in it too if you want. And there's nothing wrong with the combination. And you actually replace these trees with trees that give a lot of food.
Yeah.
And you create a lot of openness, closed spaces, open spaces, and it's the edge that actually is the most productive. So you have to create as many edges as possible. It's like in society, on the edge, the margin. It's really interesting stuff happens, right?
And why is the edge?
It's like if you look at Europe. First, people thought Europe was one giant forest before.
Yeah.
But right now, science has found out that it actually was a mosaic landscape, like one big mosaic of open patches created by herbivores and forests.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say some random numbers here, but let's say you have 100 species on this open field and 100 species on this forest. How much do you think you have on the edge? 100 here, 100 here. How much would you have on the edge?
200?
That's what logical thinking would suppose, but actually it's exponential. If you're on the edge, you might have 300, 400, 500, because it's an interesting space. The same within your garden, you have a beautiful pond, and then you have some shrubs or some plants next to it. In the pond, you'll have a couple of species. Next to it, you have a couple of species, but just on the edge, it's an explosion. So you want to create explosions, these kind of explosions. And also, it's like if you have 1 hectare of land, it's just 1 hectare of land that gets sunlight.
Yeah.
But if you do it like this, you create more surface that's in contact with the sun. So more photosynthesis and more place to grow your food. So you actually can triple your land just by growing vertically. That's the real vertical farming.
So you don't need like stacks and stacks of pots. You can actually have trees and shrubs and do it this way.
That's the vertical farming we need.
Yes. You know, I'm thinking of it. My father-in-law is actually amazing in that. He has like a small piece of land where there are houses, and he has several ponds in it.
Cool.
He has edible trees, he has herbs, he also has flowers, he has non-edible trees. Like wherever he goes to, he's on the lookout of species he doesn't have, and then like you can easily see him picking up seeds. Even when we were in the Arctic visiting my mom, he saw the flowers and he was like picking at seeds and then putting it in his garden.
Nice.
He has more than 1,500 plant species in his garden. And he has like everything mapped. It's insane. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
But
love to meet the guy. Yeah.
I will introduce you. I think you can talk a lot with him. And I'm also grateful that the kids spend summers there because they get to touch this biodiversity. Because I mean, outside is just normal houses and some industry, but in his garden, rare salamanders come. And don't tell anyone, but my son. My son like gets to hold a tiny salamander, you know, and then let him go back in the pond. I know they're protected species in Belgium, but
Nothing wrong with that, as long as he doesn't kill it.
No, they're very careful.
It's good that children
Yeah, exactly.
touch.
Exactly, and they eat pears from his garden. They know how they grow, berries as well. My daughter loves berries, so whenever my father-in-law goes and gets a plate just for her,
Ah, nice.
I think that's the types of gardens we should have.
Yeah.
Right, and maybe what we see is a different of that. We often see a lot of lawns instead of biodiverse gardens. And we also often see neighbors, spraying chemicals to get rid of like dandelions and other types of weeds, so that we can have a uniform grass. But what does the uniform grass give? Like nothing.
No, it's. I call it green concrete, and it's actually a very funny story. It was during the Victorian age that wealthy people they wanted to show how wealthy they were, and they didn't have Rolexes at the time or Bentleys to drive with. So they had land, and land was very expensive and very needed to grow food. So they were like, I'm gonna just grow stupid grass and then have like a gazillion people like cutting it with scissors. That's what they did.
Oh no.
To show how rich they were. We were like, look, we are just having grass and you have to like grow food and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, the poor people were like, oh, those rich bastards, I also want a lawn. And that's where we are today. We are still there.
We should all want food forests instead. Yeah. And that's my dream, to have a food forest.
Yeah, exactly. But the nice thing is they did a study in Perth, an Australian city, where they had like a very ecological neighborhood where people were growing native plants, and then they had a very unecological neighborhood where they were growing like green plants in the desert climate, using a lot of pesticides, a lot of irrigation, really horrible. And they asked, why is it that people here grow it this way and people there grow it that way? And then they saw that people who moved from this neighborhood to that neighborhood, they adapted to having this kind of garden. And if people from the ecological neighborhood went to the not ecological neighborhood, they also adapted to get a non-ecological garden. And sociologists was like, but how does this happen? And it's a very simple thing. We want to belong. We still feel that we're part of a tribe. And if I want to be part of your tribe, so I'm gonna do what you're doing, otherwise you might think I'm strange. So I'm gonna now have a lawn instead of my dry scape I had before. And the most important thing we now have to do is to make people feel comfortable and feel welcome in our tribe and say, come on, this is a tribe of food forest people. Look how cool we are. You belong.
Let's imagine people are listening now and they all want food forests. They got really inspired. Where does one start?
In your garden or in your street. Well, the most important thing actually is go to a local forest and just observe what is growing naturally near where you live. For example, a lot of bramberries are there. Then you say, well, if they're gonna grow there, they're also gonna grow in my garden.
Oh, it's the black ones with a lot of spikes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, blackberries. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, blackberries. Then in nature they have like these tiny blackberries.
Yeah.
But you can then go to a garden center and find a variety with like huge blackberries.
Yeah.
And even maybe find one without stings if you don't like it.
I found one. I have one in my garden. Yeah.
Like thornless evergreen is a variety. So look at what nature gives you, then find like the family of these plants that are like similar kind of plants, and then find the variety with the biggest fruit you can get. For example, acorns. A lot of forests hereby, if you look around, there are acorn trees. They already give pretty big acorns, but if you know that acorns are going to grow well, then you can plant like acorns with extra fat acorns, because they're very edible too. It's also one of these plants that most people think they're poisonous. They are, if you don't wash the tannins out of it. It's like a very bitter substance in it to protect themselves, but you can just wash it out.
Okay.
And then you can make everything with it. Tofu, burgers, pizzas, cookies. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice. At some point, I found a book. It's like almost my table book now. It's called Food Forest.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the author. I think he's
Martin Crawford?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a great book.
And it was so good in terms of guidance. Okay, I don't have a completely food forest in my garden. I do have a patch of grass for kids to play and jump on the trampoline.
Yeah.
But like all the sides, I try to mix. And maybe I wasn't on time for the design, where he really shows where to put trees and shrubs and other species, and then how to organically build the soil. And also describes how to use different species, how to cook them, or how to use them for baskets, etc.
Yeah.
But I love the book because it gives me inspiration on what to look for in the garden shop,
Yeah.
and then how to plant it in the garden with more shade, with less shade, and how to use it. So yeah, there is some information starting to pop up out there, but I think it's still not enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's brilliant that you are filming Eat More Trees documentary, or did you finish already?
We finished filming, we're now in the post-production. Yeah.
Tell me more about it. I think it's so cool that you were bringing up not just regenerative agriculture topic, but the trees itself.
Yeah, no, definitely, and it's so nice to do. Maybe to first answer your question of what you were saying before about inspiration. It is so important. Like, I wrote a book about food forests too, and
What's the name?
How to design your own food forest.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it in comments.
All right. But I always say to people, I rather you burning that book than not to do anything at all, because people like sometimes keep stuck with the books or with the YouTube films, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And so I say, don't fret about it. Go to a garden center, buy some freaking plants, and put them in the ground. Of course, it's good to know that, and you can ask those people working in the garden centers, like, is this for the shade or not? Yes, shade plants you put in the shade, sun plants you put in the sun. If you have acidic soil, then ask the garden center, well, I have an acidic soil, and don't plant plants that can't live on an acidic soil, or vice versa. And just go and do it. That's the only truth out there, action. Of course, it's good to know a little bit, but so many people have analysis paralysis that they just like, oh, there's so much information, I don't know what to do. It's like, shut off your phone, just put it away and just do some stuff. And, voilà.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. I think I learned a lot by trying, and yes, some plants died, and I realized that the other ones grow better, and I learned more about the soil that we have and where I should replant things, where one tree doesn't grow here, maybe I should move it more to the sun and then insert it kind of being more alive. So that's true. Sometimes you think one thing, but then also the garden starts behaving differently because what before that had sun, now the tree has grown. Like I've planted when my kids were small, a small tree, and now it's, I think, almost 6 meters high. So of course it changes the structure of the garden. It's a living thing.
It's a constant change, and it's so fascinating.
It is very fascinating. So that's a good advice. Just go out and do it. I'm curious now. I mean, from designing food forests, you also said you design private islands.
Yeah.
How does that process look like? Where do you even start?
Yeah, so the most important thing is when you start a project is to look at what the goal of the owner is, or owners or community. And for example, sometimes they want an ecological hotel or a resort, an ecological resort. We only do regenerative stuff, and really try to be in the heads of the people that are gonna do that business or just gonna live there themselves, and really find that dream, because everything starts with a dream. It sounds maybe a bit wishy-washy, but it's so much true. In like, if you found your passion, you found the kind of energy that keeps you going.
Yeah.
And no matter how much problems you're gonna have, you're gonna keep on going because it's your dream. And if like clients ask to do something, and we like kind of have an antenna for it now, then we sometimes feel, well, is this really your dream? Because we know that if it's not really your dream and things are gonna go wrong, and they always go wrong, there are always things going wrong. It's you're working with nature.
Yeah.
You can have a thunderstorm or like hail that's gonna be like tennis balls. So everything can go wrong. But if you have really passion and really that dream, it doesn't matter. So that's our first goal. Find that dream. And when that's clear, then we have to find the dream of the land, for example.
Yeah.
What would grow there, and whether it's a private island or whether it's an agricultural estate of a couple of 100 hectares in Spain or a tiny garden in Belgium, you have to look at what does the soil wants. What would grow automatically here if we wouldn't do anything? And then it's finding a balance between the wishes of the client and the wishes of the land, and
Yeah.
find the overlap.
Yeah.
And that's actually we are called landscape architects, but we're actually master puzzle layers, because we have to put so many puzzle pieces together. The entire social aspect, because then you also have husband and wife, or husband and husband, or whatever. And one is like they want everything very neat, and the other one is like, oh no, I want everything very wild. So we're also relation therapeutes. Yeah, it's funny, but it's true. We're like have to find a balance between the two.
Yeah.
Or if sometimes it's a group of several people or families having one piece of terrain, and then you have like European Commission style of meetings where everybody have to say their saying, and
Democracy.
democracy. It's beautiful, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we go ahead and design it.
Yeah.
We sometimes also do test plantings and see. Well, for example, we're working on an island in Argentina, and there we like had a test plot where we tested, I don't know how much, I think 150 trees maybe, tree species, and then 3 trees per species. Some of them irrigated, some of them non-irrigated, to see which ones are gonna survive. And then like we just came back from there, and we were very happy to see that a lot of them survived. And so now we know, okay, these trees we're going to build further on. Now we're going to plant a couple of hectares of them, and see how they will grow with less care and attention. And then next year we're going to see and then evaluate them, and then we build further on that. It depends on how big the project is, and also on what climate. So some climates are very predictable. Other climates have, for example, influence of the La Nina and El Nino cycle, which can be very erratic. You can have very dry periods, but then also very wet periods. And so depending also on which climate you are on this planet, you have to make different choices. So it's very nice, because you can never be bored. It's so interesting. There are just so many different factors that you have to take into account, and I love the combination between like the human part, the nature part, and where those two connect.
What's one of the coolest projects you had to design?
I really like the island we're designing, because it's just a magical place. Like one night we were seeing the sunset in one place, and we were like going from one side of the island to the other side of the island. It was full of fireflies, like gazillion fireflies. It was like just magic. And then we saw the full moon coming up on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, are we dreaming? It was like the perfect scenery you can imagine. But we're also working on a project in the Azores, a little island group of Portugal, where we're building a boutique hotel, 4 or 5 stars. Very nice. There it's a smaller terrain, about 2 hectares, with a vineyard on it. So there everything needs to fit very good with also the local architecture, because there are special laws that everything needs to be in the traditional way, which is beautiful. It gives a very nice cachet to that island. And also a lot of nice agricultural projects we're doing. For example, in Belgium, we're working on Domaine de Gros. It's 120 hectares where it's going to be a place where people, and it's already a place where people come to be inspired. And that's what I like the most, to inspire people. That's why I like hospitality so much, because thousands of people will come every year. And
True.
And that's the same thing with Domaine de Gros. It's like an agroecological center, a regenerative center of agriculture. And people who have hundreds of hectares can be inspired by it, but also people who only have a balcony. And we're designing some food forests there. We're designing an entire art route of several kilometers where there's going to be art installations. We are like framing the landscape, we call it. It's like what Capability Brown, one of the first landscape architects, did. He painted the landscapes before he then set out and did it, did the work. So we're doing the same, not with paint, but like with our smartphones and our pen, like sketching on it, and then with Photoshop creating the nice, so every part of the walk you're doing, you actually see this beautiful framed piece of nature. I was having an educational food forest there, a huge herb garden where you have a lot of medicinal plants, So it's like a wonder world. It's like you feel like Willy Wonka if you're like walking through all these different kind of things, and everybody can eat it and can drink it. Yeah, it's just so nice.
Oh, nature has so much to give, and it's amazing that you do it this way. And you mentioned that in different climates, of course, you have a lot of more unpredictable conditions. But I think when I heard you speak at Love Tomorrow, we didn't know each other yet, but I thought, that's a cool guy, I need to talk to you. You shared an example, I think it was from Spain, where there was like a big flood or something like that, and the only thing that survived in the farm were actually the trees.
Yep.
And you gave an example that also, yeah, having tree species in agriculture is actually good because it helps us adapt to climate change, and at least we have some harvest if there is an unpredictable weather. So that one really, really stuck with me. I still remember images that you showed in my head. And coming back to your documentary on eating more trees, why should people watch it and what will you get out of it?
Yeah, well, it's nice. The two come together, the two of your questions, because we've been filming a documentary called "Eat More Trees" in all places in the world, going deep into the Amazon rainforest, talking with indigenous leaders, to the USA, to that place in Spain. You saw the pictures from, and it's very crazy because we say here we have 25 years until we're screwed. There they have 0 years. They are already screwed. Agriculture is already impossible there, but so the couple we're filming, they are like one of the last people living in that valley to stop the desert with regenerative agriculture methods, and they're kind of succeeding, but it's a race against the clock. So they don't know yet, we don't know yet if they're gonna succeed or not, because if there are some bad things happening with the weather, they can be screwed and can go bankrupt anytime. So it's like they're walking a very thin line, and it's one of the bravest people I know. And it used to be just a grain farm. They only grew grain, and they only had one guy working on it on 1,000 hectares. Now they work with 20 people and they have more than 20 crops. So they really regenerating the community as well. And they had 1 year with 0 rain. Can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
So it didn't rain for 1 year, and then in one day, all that rainfall fell.
Oh no.
So that was like a huge flood, like grabbing everything they can, the rainwater. But the trees and the aromatic herbs, the plants that are perennial, they have deeper roots. They stayed. So all the grain was killed, of course, together with a lot of topsoil. But if they had done the trees, that was like that, literally the anchors of their fields, and it also prevented like tons of topsoil, which takes millions of years to build. It also like anchored it. So that's fantastic, and that's like one of the reasons we created this documentary called "Eat More Trees," to show people beautiful examples of how it is possible to literally save humanity through farming done the right way. There's a lot of doom and gloom on this planet, and I think we're all more or less affected by it. I'm like every day I'm reading reports about how much more microplastics are now dumped on our fields together with fertilizers, because it releases them slower and then it ends up in our brain, and now we have like 1 plastic teaspoon of plastic in our brains. Woohoo! So that could make you a pessimist, but being an optimist is like a verb. You have to like choose to be an optimist. I always say, or you're an optimist or you kill yourself. You have 2 choices.
I love it. I choose to be an optimist.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. We need you around.
You too.
Yeah, thanks. And the film is really a showcase to show, look, people, there are reasons to be optimistic too. There are reasons to be pessimistic, definitely, but it's a choice. And what belief is going to make you stronger? To believe that it is possible. Yeah, of course. If you believe it's not possible, you're not going to put the effort in it. And with this documentary, we saw farmers in Brazil, and in UK, USA, Spain, really showing how beautiful
they're regenerating the land. And for example, in Brazil, there was a Formula One driver who said, well, yeah, the Amazon is a 12,000-year-old food forest. People has planted parts of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they've been living in harmony with nature for 12,000 years.
So we did have the knowledge how to do things, right? We just lost it.
And he said, well, yeah, of course, the Amazon rainforest, you can't harvest it and sell it in the supermarket. It's not scalable. So he put it on lines. He experimented a lot with it. And now he has more trees per hectare than a normal forest. He has more biodiversity per hectare than a normal forest, which is very crazy.
Wow.
And he has more profit than his neighbors. So it's like a win-win for everything. And maybe to like, for me, what's the holy grail about eating more trees? And I really mean this. I'm not exaggerating. The future of humanity literally depends on us eating more tree products. Not joking around. Because the Amazon rainforests, almost 20% has been cut down.
Yeah.
I flew above it a couple of weeks ago. It's horrible to see it. And if we reach 20 to 25%, the water cycle will drastically slow down.
Yeah.
And more trees will die. And if more trees die, there are less trees that are sweating because trees sweat. Trees create rain. If you have two raindrops falling on this planet, one of them is created by a tree. Yeah, so they did some isotopic research, and they like looked at the isotopes of these raindrops in the Amazon, and they saw it was literally created by a tree. But if you then, like you say, cut down the tree, you don't have less rain, and then the trees actually create like this atmospheric river. It's like a flying river going in the opposite direction of that.
Oh, that's fascinating.
The Amazon River.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there are less trees, the atmospheric river slows down, less rain, trees die, less rain, trees die, and it's like this vicious circle. And it's it's the biggest biodiversity hotspot on this planet. And if the Amazon collapses, it's like this house of cards.
Yeah.
If the Amazon dies, you die, I die, we all die. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we'll die because of it. And so in order to save ourselves, we need to save the Amazon. You can't plant forests on it because now people are doing agriculture and they do it to make a living. So it's very hard to like kick them out. But the nice thing is you can plant trees, not a forest, but trees. And these trees have the same effect on the water cycle, and they also provide income for the farmer, even more income than cows, for example.
Oh, really?
So it's a win-win situation. And that's why I always do joke about it, but I actually mean it. It would be great if the food tree reserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Because the food tree brings peace between farmer, climate, biodiversity, and the consumer.
Yeah.
It's just brings everything together. And for me, that's the holy grail. But if we want to plant more food trees, we have to eat more food from trees.
Yeah.
And that's in the Amazon true, but it's also the same in Belgium or in UK or in a lot of other countries, definitely the USA, where they like just have like, you have kilometers without any tree. Plant more trees and eat more trees.
You know, I was already in love with trees before you came here, but now it's like a Valentine's Day all over.
And it is almost Valentine. You already have the colors.
Yeah. Louis, I think I could listen to you for hours, but I have a closing question for you. I'm pretty sure it's not the last time we have a conversation. I want to bring it back. To paint that better picture, you did say a very important thing, that we are surrounded by a lot of doom, but we need to show that there is a better future as well. I think sometimes what we lack is painting that future vividly.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question. How do you see a sustainable regenerative future?
Well, it all starts by acknowledging how great we have it today, and by looking at everything we can be grateful for. Like, I'm super grateful to have this conversation with you, to drink water that is not polluted, or at least not as much to kill me instantly. There's an infrastructure here. I can take my bike, I can take the train, I can just go into a supermarket, like take whatever I want, like swap my cards against something, and I just can take whatever I want.
we are already living in utopia. It's amazing and crazy what we've already created so far. So we are already in paradise. We have to acknowledge this. You can't build on a foundation that you think, oh, everything is bad. If you think everything is bad, well, then you're gonna build a building on a bad land, on a swamp, and then the building will collapse. That's not the way to go. So we have to first see that paradise is already here, and it's really true. It is really true, and once you discover this most biggest secret of being alive, gratefulness, then life becomes so much beautiful. And there are so many things to be grateful for, even the tiniest things. But of course, we also have to acknowledge that there are things going wrong, like pesticides, like microplastics, forever chemicals, inequality. My office is next to a lot of people who are living in the streets, taking drugs, being unhappy. And that's where we have to paint a picture of the regenerative future. And how does it look like? Well, for me, it's pretty simple, actually, what I believe in. The solution is, it all starts with yourself. And I'm 100% convinced that if everybody would first know that they're allowed to follow their calling, that it's possible to follow your calling, if everybody would do it, follow their calling, really explore and have the space emotionally, financially, to explore what your calling is and then go for that calling, all problems will be solved. Because most problems exist because we're unhappy. If you're unhappy, you go on binge shopping, you go to stupid website and buy some crap from China that's full of forever chemicals just to fill a void. You become sick, and if you become sick, you take all kind of stupid medication you don't really need, or you maybe need because you made yourself sick. You eat bad food that makes you sick. It's like with soils. If you have a healthy soil, it doesn't need much. It's like with humans. If you have a healthy mental state and a physical state, and something you like to do, then we are there. And I really like the word ikigai. It's a Japanese word that finds a balance between what you're good at, what your talents and passions are, what's good for the planet, but also what's good for your wallet, because we live in an age where you need to earn money to survive, to live comfortably. And if you find this balance between all these things, if everybody would find this calling, then we're in paradise.
I love it. I think everybody should love that vision too, where we're fulfilled and thriving. Louis, you are such an inspiration. Thank you so much. I have about tons of questions I will ask you still. But thank you for being here today and for sharing all your knowledge and stories with us.
The pleasure. Thanks for sharing it with the world and for the fantastic work you're doing. Grateful for that too.
This podcast is sponsored by Cordell Group, the most innovative builder changing the game for sustainability in construction.